everyone, I'm Bami Ting and welcome to Spill the Tea, a podcast by Penang Institute. Now, after 2 consecutive years of pandemic-related decline in 2020 and 2021, the food and beverage industry income inched closer to pre-pandemic levels in 2022. And this is probably due to pent-up demand and the return to normalcy for social and economic activities. That optimism, however, was disrupted with the increase in commodity prices due to the Russia-Ukraine war, food security issues, and climate change. And on today's episode, we are in conversation with Au Kai Ho, who is the founder of the Forest Cloud Beverage Company, as well as Daeng Sariges, the research and development guy of Forest Cloud Beverage Company. Forest Cloud, which started in 2014, is a solutions provider for more than 500 cafes nationwide, where they supply a series of innovative end products and raw materials in the cafe industry. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for being here. Such an honor. To start off, perhaps I'll ask the first question to Kai Ho. So, Kai Ho, with the volatile foreign exchange rates in recent times, how did this affect Forest Cloud and the country's F&B industry as a whole?
Thank you for the questions. For the first one, I would like to address the raw material cost, which is mainly coffee beans from us. Mm-hmm. So we do see a hype in the prices for the coffee beans during these 2 years, like 2021 and 2020 and 2021, both of these years. The main idea is I think for the Brazilian coffee, there's a weather changes, like climate changes, climate issue that hike up a lot of the Brazilian price due to the reduction of the supply, and also another case is which is the USD is a lot higher, and as Malaysian we buy the coffee beans in
US
USD.
Dollars,
Yes.
Right.
So I think the worst scenario for us that we have like about 50% increase in our green beans, which is hard for us to divert the whole cost to our customer, because everyone is struggling to survive at that time.
Yeah.
And then I think that at that part we are as a cafe owner, and also as us as a green beans trader, a green beans importer and a roaster, we are splitting out the cost together. And also for this, as for coffee equipments, we do have a supply chain issue that is affected by the war. So we have less steel, and also we have less the chipset that is producing the coffee equipment. So we do have for these 2 to 3 years, we can see like about 4 to 5 times of the price increment for our coffee equipment. So in fact, all this come in to affect our cost to operate like F&B or specifically as a cafe itself. So it's very challenging, and I think but everything is fine now.
That's good to know, because a 50% price hike and a 4 to 5 times price hike
for coffee equipment.
For coffee equipment, I mean, that must have been a bitter pill to swallow. I mean, like you mentioned, there's just no way you can put that cost on the
directly
consumers.
Correct.
So in that sense, the industry has had to absorb the differences in the cost, and that must have been super tough. But I'm glad that it has gotten better now. So thank you so much for explaining that to us, because as consumers we know that price hikes are inevitable, but like as consumers we always complain, to be honest. Whenever there's a price hike. So to see the flip side of the coin, I think that's super interesting. But also, to the both of you, like, has the rise in local tourism, augmented, especially by higher foreign tourist arrivals, sustain the expansion of the F&B industry, especially since the country has, reopened for some time now, ever since the pandemic. But also, people are always thinking that, with China's borders reopening, will the arrival of Chinese tourists this year actually further rejuvenate the F&B industry?
After 2022 March, after the border reopening fully, we do see a hike in all the orders from our customers that there's an increment of like coffee demand everywhere because everyone is rushing out. I'm sure we do that as well. And specifically as for China visitors, I think there is, but there's not a lot.
Okay.
Yeah,
not that substantial yet.
Yes, not that substantial yet. But we do see some of them is here, and it do helps our
the business.
The business.
But I suppose perhaps it's a little too early to see whether China tourists coming in, whether they are really affecting the F&B industry yet. But we have also seen more tourists from other countries.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yes. On the streets of Penang, I think I see a lot more Western tourists.
Yes,
I would
they
say.
are.
So in that sense, it's better now, I suppose, compared to 2 years ago.
Yeah, of course.
But also like the local tourists, like KLites flooding into Penang. I think that one really helped to sustain the industry throughout the bad times.
Right.
Yeah. It's like I feel majority now is still like local tourists that that comes to the shop and and sort of like bring the business up again, as opposed to like foreign tourists.
Right.
Because foreign tourists, if they like coffee, wouldn't be, because there's a lot more other cafes. Like I feel like they are not so particular about the type of coffee that they drink, kind of thing. So any cafe sort of works, and there are plenty of cafes around, the tourist spots.
For sure.
Yeah. We're just one of them in a way. But people who are looking for like specialty stuff, we still get some of them, but for like foreign, I wouldn't say like necessarily they would come for like a specialty, or they are looking for like a specialty beverage kind of thing. Like any coffee sort of will do for them, because like for like the space that we are in, there's a lot of pretty good coffee all around us, so there are plenty of choices.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about trends in the beverage industry now. So Daeng, there seems to be an increase in demand for healthier drinks alternatives right now. So tell us, what is the latest demand in the beverage industry?
I feel nowadays people want more like specialty stuff. Just the fact that like coffee, if we were to give for example, like a lot of home brewers now started to invest in higher end home brewing machine, which costs a lot more. So that is becoming like a hobby, which we see in like now people start to spend a lot more on their hobbies kind of thing. Like they want to get more specialized in it. So there's definitely a lot more interest in like finding out, what's the difference between different coffee beans, and they want to learn more about the process, like where it comes from. For years we've been advocating, trying to be like the wine industry, like you got to know where your coffee comes from, because that affects the taste and how the coffee is processed. Right. All of that, will sort of result in your final cup. Like all that affects your final cup, the cup of coffee that you drink. So I feel like now people are more aware of what's the info that they need, or what the info that they want to find out. And purchasing power also, in a way, I feel like is higher now in a sense where people are more willing to like spend for like the things that they like kind of thing. That they can feel they are like an expert or something, as opposed to like before this coffee is just like coffee kind of thing, but now I feel sometimes they are more advanced than like coffee shops even, with like the stuff that they use at home. They make it like so like complicated. They not in a bad sense, but they have the time and the drive to do it.
They have the passion.
Passion. Correct. That's the right word. Correct.
Invest into their interests.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, because some of them will like crazy like setup, of
even,
like the coffee.
Even at home, right?
And it's a lot more complicated than what we use in the cafe even.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, ours is quite up there, but some of this home brewer
they are like super enthusiastic
correct,
about it.
Which is, I mean, makes sense because for us like we need to balance out between like the speed of the service and also like the quality of it. So we need to strike a balance. But for home brewer, they can take their time with it. Like it becomes like even like slow coffee is becoming like a thing now. Like slow living and stuff. So people, at home has the time to do it. So I feel like definitely there's an increase in like finding out more, and that in a way for us like giving us the ability to like push like like more stuff, more experimental stuff to like the market kind of thing, because I feel people are more open to like trying out and willing to like try.
Okay. So correct me if I'm wrong. So there seems to be more demand for non-alcoholic drinks these days. So tell me what are your opinions on this? Is this true though that there's less demand for alcohol now?
Yeah. I read a few of the documents that is the younger generation now they consume less alcohol comparing to elder generation in general, and also I mean that's what I see in during this pandemic. A lot of these alcoholic outlets is being restricted, or some of them, like a lot of them closed down, and then most of the time that the beverage options move to coffee as their priority or the first options, and then that also create a habit throughout these 2 to 3 years. People drink less alcohol and drink more coffee related beverage, like non-alcoholic drinks in general. I think
so. That's a very interesting point though, because like we think that perhaps like the older generation might find alcohol to be like an escape sort of thing, right? Whereas now I think it's a super interesting point that because of the pandemic, where bars and pubs were not allowed to open for business for so long during the pandemic, and some had to permanently close because of that, and that actually shifted the tastes and preference of like a whole lot of people, and that the habit actually stuck on, whereby since they can't get alcohol anyway during the pandemic, and then they had to like sort of shift to like coffee or teas.
Because even like I guess like during the pandemic, like like home brewers started becoming like a thing. Like people had too much free time that they have to like fill it up, right? So so like a lot more like people started like with coffee and like tea and baking even. That's something that they can do, as opposed to like making alcohol. I mean, technically you can make it at home. It's just
so much more tedious, isn't it?
Correct. Correct. A lot more
time consuming.
A lot more knowledge that goes into it, and a lot more like time that goes into it, as opposed to like coffee. it's like a step that can be done, let's say for a beginner, let's say 10 minutes.
Right. Okay.
True.
Because for us, like, during the pandemic, we had to move to, we were lucky because we cover both end of the spectrum in terms of we have a cafe that serves the customer, but also we have like we sell raw materials that, we supply to cafes and stuff. So for us, like, we shift quite like fast into like online stuff.
Yeah, that was very lucky, I would say.
Yeah, so like, and from there we can see the demand. Like I think we were quite busy during that period. Like people buying like coffee beans kind of thing. Where maybe before this, like most of our coffee bean sale was to our F&B
offline channels.
Correct, like B2B, like channels.
So then during the pandemic, you actually had a lot more B2C.
Correct. Yeah.
So individual consumers.
Yeah. People those like home brewers, like they just like. So I think that sort of given a rise in like more personalized like thing and being making it like a hobby for people.
Okay.
Yeah, and also to add on, I think other than coffee and tea, also another rise in the industry will be the probiotic drinks. We see a lot of like
kombucha.
Yeah, kombucha brewers. So even online you can see a lot of people is buying the SCOBY and stuff to make it in home. I mean, definitely it goes back to people have a lot of time. So this is all which is happening in during the pandemic, and it creates habits in a way. Because it's not the short time. It's about 2 to 3 years.
It takes, I mean, even like kombucha and all that, it takes some time for the drink to actually, I mean, for you to actually taste the final product, right?
Correct.
But I guess that also gives like a sense of fulfillment for people who does it. Like it's something that they make their own, whether it's good or bad. But it's something that they have a hand in it.
Right.
Which you don't get that from buying a bottle off the shelf.
That's true.
In a supermarket. Which I think like go hand in hand with also like the being like a healthy thing.
So it's not only about like health consciousness now. It is also more of like being satisfied that I did this. I made this. And I made this and
like it tastes quite good.
Like I could sell it too.
And correct.
There's a lot of like new probiotic drinks seller in the market. We can see. Yeah, especially in KL, I think there's more.
And even in Penang, I guess. Before this, like there are some that were selling like kefir and stuff. Which is like pretty slow. But I feel like during the pandemic and after, it's sort of like booming in a way.
It definitely accelerated.
Correct. I mean, you just visit like any like grocery store, like let's say like the Jaya or Cold Storage, like you see the range of like bottled drinks, kombucha, and even like stuff like coffee. I feel like definitely a lot more range now as opposed to like last time. It's just the normal the local brands like Poca
few
and
players,
stuff.
The few.
But now there's a lot more like names that is entering the market. For like ready to drink beverages.
Right. Okay. Coming back to your point, Daeng, of like people being home brewers and like just getting this sense of ownership and even satisfaction about things, drinks that they're actually making by themselves. Do you think there's actually a generational difference in this though?
I would say so. Like I feel like the mindset of like different generations is definitely different. Because nowadays I would say, first and foremost, information is a lot more accessible now. For back then, for people back then, to learn about something is definitely a lot harder. So the point of entry is slimmer in a way. But now, like you wanna do something, you can just search it up on Google.
Search it up. Like information is
Correct.
just out there and so easily.
So like
accessible.
the entry to, like, you know, the barrier of entry is like lower.
Okay.
You know, like it's, you can get the info now. It's just the step for you to do it.
Okay.
But last time, you know, with the lack of information, it's a lot harder just to get that info. You know, before we even talk about like getting started.
Okay.
Yeah. So definitely, like I feel like people nowadays, because of the easy access to information, makes us think like we can do anything.
We got AI right now.
Correct. Yeah. Even
Yeah.
with AI, you know, like I don't even have to do my own research.
Yeah.
You know, like I can just ask a question on an AI, and then they will give me all the summaries.
Yeah.
You know, without me having to go through, let's say, you know, 10 different articles.
Yeah, you don't even need to do the research yourself anymore.
Correct. Yeah. So that's like, you know, the time spent on just researching is cut down by a lot.
Yeah.
So that makes it, like I say, easier for people to start doing stuff on their own, to give like something a try. So like barrier to entry definitely becomes like easier.
Right. So but like anyway, I mean, apart from barrier of entry, do you think it is also, you know, accelerated because of social media, when, you know, people see that, oh, this is a trend, I wanna be part of this trend too.
And you know, people want to show, I guess, other people that, you know, I think people are more people have always been passionate about whatever they are passionate about, like the hobbies that they do. It's just not now there's an outlet for them to tell the world about their passion.
Right.
So that definitely, you know, maybe like, let's say if we didn't have technology back like now, like it probably be the same amount of passion in the world in a way.
Yeah, but now that you have, like, people actually have an audience to see your work. And then in that sense, I suppose people also feel
like there's a lot more.
And
Encouragement, but we feel like suddenly like there's a boom. But maybe without like the exposure of social media, like maybe it's the same amount of people that does it. It's just that now we know about it, as opposed to like people doing it quietly, you know, kind of thing.
Right. And also, so recently 4 of Malaysia's restaurants were actually recognized with 1 Michelin star, and 2 of which are in Penang, which are Orjada and Auntie Gaglen's Old School Eatery. So now both are vastly different in their cuisine and offers varying experiences for their customers. And also, apart from the Michelin star restaurants, a total of 32 restaurants and food establishments were awarded a Bib Gourmand, which is basically the inspector's favorites for quality cooking at moderate prices. So that's what Bib Gourmand is. And 15 of the 32 restaurants are based in KL, where 17 are in Penang. So how do you think this international recognition will change Penang and Malaysia's culinary landscape?
I can take that one. I think I'm just gonna break it down. I think like for first part, like if you're talking about like industry players, for industry players, it's a good thing that we have Michelin now, because it's like we can use it as a jumping point for industry players to go to the next level, because it's something that carries weight in the world, especially in the industry itself. Because like before this, we never had any recognition. So if you were to, you know, work in the best restaurant, like if you were to go outside of Malaysia, there's nothing solid that you can carry forward in terms of your reputation and your resume. But Singapore, like people, that's why a lot, like last time there's a lot of Malaysian people, you know, goes to Singapore to work for a Michelin restaurants, and then come back here with a Michelin there's a recognition there, so everywhere in the world that they go, they can bring that name. But so now that it's finally landed in Malaysia, I feel for industry players it's good to in a way elevate our dining and drinking experience. So that's on like the industry part, but I feel for customers, that's
like consumers tend to have a completely different opinion. I mean, like when the Michelin star restaurants were announced, I think like the most popular comments which popped up on social media was like, oh, thank God my haunt did not get the Michelin star. Otherwise, I'd have to like queue up and, oh no, the prices are going to hike, that sort of thing. So I think it's a very different perspective.
For the locals, it's like, we have our favorites.
Yes.
So Michelin's supposed to be the best of something. So I feel like the local people has become, in a way, offended, maybe that
their favorites were not
even like mentioned. So, but I feel like it's good for some of them because it does give recognition to like the shops. That gives people in a way exposure for the restaurant owner. So that people, will come to and give them a try. Maybe before this, like, they go to other places, but they never tried the famous one. But I feel like it's for Malaysian is maybe just like a short hype for a bit, and then after that it goes back to normal unless a place already is super established. Because for me, like one of it is Texan, which is like one of my favorite places. They always have lineup to like even go in. I think they just got a mention on.
Yes, they got a mention.
Which
right.
They didn't get a full on star or whatever, right? But places like that, like they can sustain. Like for them, it's not a trend or a hype. They sustain. They manage to sustain the fact that you have to line up every single time you go, doesn't matter.
And it's
weekdays or weekend or like lunch or dinner.
And irrespective of whether they get the Michelin star or not.
Correct. That doesn't necessarily affect them because even tourists knows about them. So like I mean it's good for places that maybe prior to having the Michelin to have people come and try the product, and in a way that's expose people to that maybe a particular dish maybe they haven't tried it before, and let's say if they tried this particular, like say a laksa at this Michelin place, then they might be open to try other places that sells the same thing but maybe different.
Cool. So, Kaiho, I also noticed like an increase in omakase restaurants in Penang, and thank you, Daeng, for correcting me earlier before our conversation that when I say omakase restaurants, do I actually mean only the Japanese omakase restaurants or omakase concept but in different cuisines, right? So I suppose in Penang, we are still, omakase restaurants in Penang are still largely Japanese. But like, do you think though that this trend actually translates to consumers now being more daring in their food choices?
Yeah, definitely. And also in terms of omakase, we see it a lot on a lot of bars, especially like some of the bar in Penang, which is like the Back Door and Good Friends.
Yeah.
They always like you can talk to the bartender, and they can do something special for you in terms of
your preference
yes.
and your mood.
What
you feel like having at that very moment.
Yeah, and also we see this in other outlets like cafe. Also, you can talk to them and they will do something special for you. I think people will be more daring in a way.
Because
are more ready to try new stuff.
Okay.
I think it's also people knowing in a way what they want at the same time. I think as opposed to just
Like a
having
personal
like
preference,
like a personal preference thing. People are more confidence. People have more confidence on their own preference.
Okay.
They know what they want, kind of thing, as opposed to just a general item on the menu. So
this is, I mean, like, apart from like knowing one's own taste, could it also be interesting because like it feels like an adventure, for consumers, like, because you don't, I mean, like with omakase, you're leaving it to the hands of the chef, right?
Correct. Yeah. I that definitely, like, I mean, that goes back to like people now being more interested to try new things. Is give them the ability. I guess in a way it makes them feel special a little bit. If everybody else is getting the same thing, like if they can
you
have
want something personalized,
correct,
basically.
So that in a way, like, give them like sort of, I guess, a good feeling. I don't know if that's
you feel special, basically.
Correct. They feel their money is more worth it. Like, I think they get more out of what they spend.
Correct.
Kind of thing,
okay.
as opposed to just getting, let's say, a regular cup of coffee that everybody gets. It's not to say that they wouldn't be enjoying it, but a personalized one maybe will elevate the feeling of like happiness or something.
Also, most of the time, this omakase experience, the chef or the barista or bartender will explain a little bit, okay, what I'm doing. And normally they will do it in front of you most of the time. And that really get back to the value
experience.
they feel is more worth it.
The experience too. Being able to see your particular item being made in front of you, and seeing what goes into it. Definitely a lot less like hiding now, in a sense where last time restaurant used to have kitchen hidden all the way to the back. None of the customer can see what is happening. They just see the food itself. But now you see a lot more open kitchen concept. Eatery starts popping up because people want to have the experience to be able to see their food being made. And being able to like talk to the person that making it. So just to have a better understanding of it, and that goes back to like people generally becoming more interested, or even I think that adds into like making whatever they are spending more worth it, in a sense. They are getting more in a way, like they get to learn a little bit, but also at the same time like they still get to eat like good food or something.
I think also like there's like a sense of storytelling into your food or drinks, which makes it extra personalized, I think. I mean, like, even with like people who are like serious into like the third wave coffee culture, like, I think the whole idea behind it is really almost like a story to be told to the consumer, right? So that is why like we know the whole entire process, right? I suppose that is also being translated into food like omakase, and then whereby the chef actually explains stuff to you.
Correct, like where it comes from. I mean, for the longest time, like the F&B, or at least the food side was going. There was a term called farm to table.
Yes, exactly.
So that's, I mean, the basic idea of farm to table is basically knowing where your ingredients comes from. Because like it's easy for us to see as ingredient on its own, but there's actually a lot of hand that touches the ingredient, and that sort of affects what you're tasting, what you're eating. So having more like knowledge on like where it comes from and stuff definitely adds into, I guess, the whole experience. Again, like I said, like you be paying the same price in a way, let's say for a plate of
same price,
meal.
you sure?
I guess, yeah. No, but it depends. I feel there are certain places now are like, especially newer age business owner.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like the old guy still likes to keep everything a secret.
Okay.
But I feel the trend now is like making it less of a secret, but it's also like, it's like certain items can be complicated in the preparation method.
Okay.
That feel like some places actually put out like a whole like recipe or something, but doesn't mean necessarily people wouldn't have the expertise to do it.
Okay.
Like having a recipe and not the expertise is like a different thing. Like they can do it at home if they want to, but most of the people would rather just spend the money and seeing it being done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's like on the food side, but you also mentioned that in Forest Cloud there's flight, right? Which is the tasting platter.
Correct.
Is that what
Yeah,
you call it?
our flight is basically our raw ingredients that we carry. So stuff like coffee, matcha, hojicha, and janmaicha. Yes. So like Japanese powdered tea. So our flight is basically, it's almost like a tasting menu in a way. One raw material presented 3 different ways.
Okay.
So for us, like we've been ever since we launched it like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, about 2.
About 2 years ago. There are quite a good amount of people who orders it every month or something, every week,
day,
even every day actually, right? So that's interesting to the fact that people don't just see beverage as a beverage now.
Okay.
Like people want to experience and try new things.
So it's very experimental.
Yes, I guess the whole I wouldn't say call it experimental. It's more of like
an experience.
Just like an elevated experience.
Okay.
Like you can get, because like for our flight drinks, you can get the items separately on the menu. But you can also have it as a tasting set. So as opposed to getting 3 different drinks, which would be, I guess, quite hard if you were to consume all 3 drinks by yourself.
Yeah. So you get a little bit of each.
A little bit of each. But I think I also see people ordering it and sharing it with, a friend or two. So it's like a good like tasting session, which is, I think, the culture is born, I guess, from the alcohol industry. So we got the wine tasting, we got the whiskey tasting.
So now it's coffee tasting.
And even like coffee tasting. And even like Japanese tea. I feel Japanese tea now is becoming like a thing now.
Thing now, right?
With like matcha and like
hojicha
and all the janmaicha and stuff. It's becoming it's going together with like the coffee culture.
Okay.
Yeah, hand in hand in a way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So like with all these trends right now, right? Like what other trends do you think we will be observing in the F&B industry in the coming years? Kaiho, what do you think?
I feel more like AI automation stuff. Definitely. Over the past pre-pandemic, even pre-pandemic, we start to see like automated robot hand making coffee.
Yep.
We even work with one company in Penang to help them set it up.
We are still working with them.
Oh, okay.
So like mechanizing processes, you mean?
Correct. And
they
also
wanted something like a full automation stuff, like a
Okay.
coffee kiosk without a barista. So that's
Oh,
one of the
okay.
things that.
but
product
not
that we
fully
work-
Okay.
auto machine. Yeah, it's a
like a semi-auto machine.
semi-auto machine
that-
like what we use in the bar. I mean, in our coffee
at
bar.
most of the cafe. Yep.
But the doing it part is AI or like robot or machine operated.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there a human element in there though?
No.
No.
It's
None?
only
Okay,
only
okay.
robotic
Yeah.
hand,
Okay.
but that part.
I mean, just at the start is human element, I guess.
Well,
Putting
yeah,
all the
the whole
info.
idea of it is
Yeah.
from humans,
Yeah.
and basically.
But
Yeah.
I think like soon enough, like we might be seeing them taking over, like because
okay.
now like F&B since like the pandemic, like the F&B has been struggling with staff.
Okay.
A lot of people quitting.
Okay. Manpower issue.
Manpower issue. So like automation becomes the next thing that I guess people are looking at to
how to reduce the staff
because it's a
in the
risk,
cafe. Yeah.
having like staff that having no staff is a risk, in a way like that affects your workflow and stuff. So I think automation, like even like, cause for us like coffee wise, like certain part of coffee making has become automated now, like the automatic temper and stuff, like
Yeah.
some
I mean, it also relate back to the consistency of a robot comparing to a barista. So in terms of what Daeng just mentioned is the tamping part. If you are using a human barista, every tamping or different barista is the different strength. So with that robotic, it creates less variables or in terms of coffee making.
Okay.
And there's a lot more technology that is out there, including like milk frothing, now coffee tamping, and a lot more is coming in. You can see a lot of creations in this equipment industry as well,
Okay.
to help the barista or the cafe.
So that every cup is consistent, basically.
Consistent, and also you use less human in a
Less-
way.
Yeah. Less
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And maybe it's the effectiveness to come out with a coffee efficiency of it. It become faster with the help of technology, and even I mean when on this part, China is doing it very good. There's a lot of automations, even like syrups or drinks or all the raw material. You can just with one button you have it already. Every scoop of it is consistent. That's maybe that will be one of the
That will
trend
be
that is
the
happening
trends. Yeah.
to
So
the
it's already happening in places
China,
like China.
yes.
So
Yeah.
it will most probably be
slowly
happening
translate back to
here.
Malaysia or even other countries.
parts of the world.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've actually seen videos of those whereby like the syrups and all that are
Yeah.
actually automated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now there's one very interesting thing is one of the tea plus coffee chain in China. They every order they come with a QR code. So
Okay.
with that QR, they scan the machine, and then they will exactly go into all the raw material directly. So you straight blend it. That's it. It's super fast comparing to last
So
time. We need to
efficient.
scoop, and
Yeah.
you need to check the recipe a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what is happening right now. So they sort of like 10 times the efficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you save time and you definitely save on manpower.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all the costs.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you don't get you will never get disappointed.
Yeah.
With the results as well,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's all programmed already.
Yeah.
Right?
You're getting the same thing every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and some people, I mean, most people like that consistency. You go to a place, like if it's good, then you return to it expecting the same thing that you had previous.
Exactly.
Like, and that's hard with humans behind
Right.
the machine, because like we
Humans
Yeah.
yeah.
But in that sense, also, I mean, along this year, maybe go back to the omakase part that will be more valuable in terms, because everything is so fixed and so consistent already. What we want is we want something different.
Yes.
So every time we go there, maybe we can talk to the barista. That's the experience part is coming in, which maybe will be more valuable to us.
Which is lacking in the AI department.
Yeah.
So maybe like people
The human
who
touch,
so whatever it is, the human touch is still important, but we are the trend is that we're definitely incorporating more advanced technologies in the F&B industry. Not only for the big players, but like even in smaller F&B businesses, if like you said, the trend in China where like syrups and all that are automated, right?
Yeah.
If it actually, if this actually comes into even smaller cafes in Penang, that would be quite interesting to watch, I guess.
Yeah, we don't need to just check back the recipe. And
Yeah.
also it's easier to train staff in a way.
Yes.
Less training in a way. So that means less time spent on the worker not being like
And
working
you won't
fully
have,
in a way.
exactly. And like you won't have to worry if the worker says that I don't feel like coming to work today.
Correct.
Right? And then you are left in the lurch. But then with, if you're using robots, then you don't have to worry about that issue unless the robot breaks down.
Yeah.
But also I think there's also like a middle point where automation can sort of help us in a sense where then we get to focus on the customer, on the user, on the experience of the customer, because then we have less thing that we have to focus on in a way. Like because like now, like for some barista, it might be hard to talk while making their coffee,
right?
And remembering 10 other drinks that that
it's all
is
lined up.
Correct. But with automation, maybe it can be a middle point, because at the moment that's what all this like robotic AI stuff is helping us. Like you say with the coffee equipment where it help us like time, which is like shorten the time a little bit, but then if you multiply with the amount of cups that we do in a day, so that gives our staff other free time to do other stuff in a way.
So you can focus on what you feel could be like the more important parts of the whole process.
The user experience, but also for like maybe other stuff that is not automated yet, they can focus on that, and that particular thing can be better than previously.
Okay, all right. Kaiho and Daeng, thanks very much for speaking with me today. I've been speaking to Kaiho and Daeng Sariges from the Forest Cloud Beverage Company on F&B business trends. This is Spill the Teh, a podcast by Penang Institute.
Thanks for having us.